Are you experiencing back pain that you can't get rid of? Getting migraines, vertigo, having trouble sleeping, and/or brain fog? Do you feel like your medical doctor doesn't understand your condition? Blair Chiropractic might be the solution you've been looking for. If you've ever been skeptical about this, the two doctors you're about to listen to were even more skeptical than you were when they looked into chiropractic work. But fear not. Get expert guidance from the blonde and the bald, Doctors Beth Bagley and Frederick Scherger. These two doctors have extensive experience beyond the healthcare realm and bringing unique vision and healing to their patients. What do you have when you get a biological analyst and an engineer together? Find out right here on another episode of The Blonde and the Bald. Welcome your hosts, Doctors Bagley and Scherger.
Good afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are listening to this. Welcome to The Blonde and the Bald. I'm Dr. Frederick Scherger.
And I'm Dr. Beth Bagley. It's good to have you guys listening today.
Absolutely. Today happens to be Thursday, December 8th, as we are recording this. And it has been a heck of a week for me. This will go into what I want to talk about today, but it's been a heck of a week because I was on top of the world on our last discussion, as it was Thursday. I felt great. Friday came along. I did my workout, which I'm really enjoying this kettlebell workout. Again,
you and the kettlebells.
It is, and we
touch. We should get pictures of you for our podcast doing kettlebells. Everybody would love it.
If I looked better, I mean, when I post them on my Instagram, all the naked women chatbots definitely come my way.
Well, there you go. I mean, it's great that you get naked women chatbots. I mean, that's amazing.
Oh.
So there's things going around, some viruses that are affecting people. We've had a decrease in patient, we keep track of statistics in the office, and usually we get about 90% show rate on our appointments, and we were down at 83. And it's people call and let us know, but
sure.
That's a pretty big drop when it's mostly the flu, or I mean, I'm sure there's some COVID in there and all sorts of stuff. That's just part of what we have to deal with now. So.
And that's what I ended up coming down with Friday afternoon. It was I was doing good, having a great time, but that flu got me. And people have been talking about this thing. The flu itself, it's not bad. I barely cracked 100-degree fever on Saturday.
But it like knocks you out.
It did. And I was, I basically said, I'm going to take it easy Saturday and Sunday. The worst was all this cold and all this heaviness that's still sticking with me right now. I shouldn't say that's the worst. No, that's the worst. That stuff is just, it's naggy. But the weird, which is what I want to talk about today, are some of these weird symptoms that we have when we're out of adjustment. My weird is, even though my temperature was normal, I was cold and chilled, not necessarily from the bug, but I recognized
the temperature regulation.
Exactly. Yeah. I could not get warm. And it was just crazy how I couldn't get warm. And this is an old symptom that I've had, years and years in the making. I remember, Beth, here's the crazy thing. Can you imagine I like chocolate chip cookies?
No.
I know. Yes, you can. Before I went keto and carnivore, I think we've had at least one meal where we said, we're going to split that dessert because neither of us need the calories.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I know, right? So I was making these cookies that I thought were making me sick because I was using honey instead of sugar and setting me all sorts of weird off. No, this was a long time ago. I figured out that my body temperature did weird things, and I just felt miserable. Didn't realize it was because I was out of adjustment. But for me, that was the weirdest sensation. As soon as I realized it Monday morning, I'm like, oh, I need to go get adjusted. So I ran down to Dr. Vanyo's office on Monday, Glenn Carbon, and he got me adjusted.
Everyone, he would come and see me, but I'm another 45 minutes away.
Yeah, so exactly.
That adds an hour and a little over an hour in the car. So
on that note, I might be down tomorrow morning, late noon. So
In St. Louis?
I need a follow up. So any case,
okay.
I'm
You're going to see him.
Well, I was going to, but he's out of town. So
well, I will be in the office a little bit after noon. So
yeah, so we'll coordinate.
So text me.
So yeah, but
see, it's good to have chiropractors that love you. So weird symptoms back at that. I have a patient who has had multiple head traumas, and she also had, when she's out of alignment, she cannot regulate temperature. In the hot, she's dying. And like today when she came in, she had a jacket, another jacket, and then a giant puffer jacket on. And she's just so cold. We actually had to get new images of her because she fell, of course. And
of course,
it's hard when you've had a brain injury and then you get re-injured. It's just this vicious cycle. So I think chiropractors are interesting because most of us have weird chiropractic stories of why we became chiropractors. And we talked about that. But one of the interesting weird symptoms, I get two really weird symptoms, is number one, I get hiccups. So if I'm out of adjustment in a certain way, I will get violent hiccups that last very long time. So when I was a child, I had hiccups all the time.
Oh, wow.
And they would make me sick to my stomach because they were so bad. Come to find out now, I'm like, as an adult and a chiropractor, like obviously that was a sign of an upper cervical subluxation. But I still will get those and I don't get them at all if I'm holding an adjustment. I don't get them at all. And then the second thing is the weird one called central sleep apnea. And have you ever heard of central sleep apnea?
I haven't. That one's
okay.
Certainly not sleep apnea, certainly. But
sleep apnea. So to explain sleep apnea to people, it's like you're going to sleep and you stop breathing. Typically with typical sleep apnea, you stop breathing because there's an obstructive. So it's called obstructive sleep apnea. So that could be like, there's too much girth, like you're overweight, or your tongue just kind of goes back, or there's too much looseness there. And that's where people would use the CPAP machines that like force the air in. And honestly, if you think about, if you're just like, close your teeth for us and just move your head up and down, like you're saying yes, and you'll feel your teeth move. So when your neck is out of alignment, that can actually obstruct things too. And we see that on our imaging. Now, central sleep apnea is even more interesting for the chiropractor because it comes from the brainstem. So central sleep apnea is actually your body forgetting to breathe, which is quite scary. So my story is that about, I guess it's almost 2 years ago, I was on a boat in the Gulf of Mexico. My head was turned because it was a parasailing boat, and I was looking, and we hit this giant wave out of nowhere, and I whiplashed with my head to the side. And I immediately knew it was not good. You know, we got off the boat. I'm trying to be happy for my kids and all that stuff, but I was like, I am not good. And that night I went to bed, and something had never happened to me before is I would fall asleep. And as I was falling asleep, I would stop breathing, and I'd have to I'd startle, breathe awake, over and over and over again, where I literally had zero sleep for 2 nights in a row. And it was right before I was coming home from vacation. So we drove home, and I could, because I at that point did not know what that was. I was a little freaked out, but I knew I threw my neck, it was bad. So I figured, being a chiropractor, I'm going to put 2 and 2 together, but I still hadn't done the discovery work to find out what that was. So it didn't go immediately away after one adjustment. I was re-injured, new images, started a course of treatment with my chiropractor at the time. And over the course of about a month, I got better right after one adjustment, didn't go away. But now to this day, just this week on Sunday night, I had the same thing. I woke up about 2:00 in the morning and was awake, not from insomnia, like just my brain was going, but like I kept and started gasping for breath again. And so I needed a double adjustment. Yay. Yeah. And it is gone again. So good. so interesting. And now I'm on message boards on central sleep apnea on Facebook. And you better believe every time somebody posts something, I'm like, you need to check out Blair Upper Cervical. Here's the website. Because I can't imagine how these people live.
No.
And some of these people are kids. And so then my brain starts going to, what about SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome? Is it central sleep apnea in a baby?
Right.
I mean, again, I don't know, but that makes my brain go crazy.
So many questions. And, you bring up a good point, because there are so many of these message boards out there of just people, Facebook groups, Reddit groups, where people are discussing their conditions, trying to find at least somebody who's had the answer. It was funny. Scott Adams of Dilbert fame long said, he was losing his voice, and he's like a professional speaker. That's half of his thing. And he was losing his voice to the point where I don't think he could talk. And finally, I mean, all of his doctors, and he had some really good doctors. It's not like he didn't have the Dilbert money to, have good doctors, but he had, his doctors didn't have a clue to what was going on. And sure enough, he just starts chatting with people about it. I don't know if it was pre-Twitter or post-Twitter, because he's on there all the time. But he's basically said, oh, I have this problem, describe the problem. And somebody else just pops in and says, oh, you have this. And once he figured out what it was and that it was treatable, he basically took that to his doctor and says, hey, I have this. And they figured out how to get him better. And here's why I sort of talk about this, is because there are so many people who are suffering with weird symptoms that they end up on these groups. And unfortunately, they get preyed upon because some chiropractor says, hey, these chiropractors got you better. I can do what they do, but I'm not doing what they do. And we're gonna solve your problem. The Meniere's support groups are, we would love to just share in these Meniere's support groups for people with vertigo and dizziness and just the vomiting and the nausea, how we can help these people. But unfortunately, they have had so many bad experiences with chiropractors because they don't understand that there's a difference between a Blair trained upper cervical chiropractor and the doc down the street who basically graduated from a school and
has good intentions. They have good intentions, but again, they don't know what we know.
At best, they can serve 80% of the population, and
wonderful for that.
And that's going to be
I'm
great.
glad, because honestly, I don't necessarily want to see somebody with acute low back pain. Like, I don't want that. That's not. I will see them, like, especially if they're one of my patients already. But like, I'm happy for the guy down the street to have that, because I want to see central sleep apnea. I want to see Meniere's disease. I want to see neurological conditions that no one's looking at, like MS and Parkinson's, and no one's looking at it from a structural standpoint. That's what we do. And I love it.
And it is so great. And so if people are listening and they're like, hey, I'd love to share this with so-and-so, but they had a bad experience, it is the time for them to look at something outside of what they were doing. And that's what we do on a daily basis. So, I mean, it's to the point where I still consider myself a chiropractor, but I wish we had a different word. I wish we had a different word. I wish we had a different name. And this is why, sometimes we fall under upper cervical. Sometimes we fall under Blair docs. Certainly there are other doctors out there who practice on the upper cervical umbrella, either be it NUCA, orthospinology, Atlas orthogonal, the list goes on and on. It's different than what everybody else perceives. In fact, did I have one or two patients come in today? Different times, basically because of their past experience with other chiropractors in town. They said, we went to Dr. Matthias until he retired. Sadly passed away sooner, because I would have seen him at least daily this week for a 30-minute drive. It would have been one of those weeks just to see if we can't get the last of whatever's going on with me. And I will definitely drop out of chat here to blow my nose here in a moment. But
that's all right.
They basically said, nope, they won't trust any other chiropractors in town if they're not doing this kind of work.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, some of these people, I had one person who said, I was with Doc. And when did you start with Doc? And in 2008, 9, it was a closer drive for her to come to see me than it was to go another 30 minutes, 40 minutes south to see Doc. But because she didn't know that I was doing what Doc was doing, she would only go to Doc, and she was happy with that. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Yeah. So it's always it's curious how hard people have a time finding this stuff. But any case, speaking of which, the one I was talking about, she's like doing tons better. She's almost sleeping through the night. Maybe
Yay.
Just quick wake up. She hasn't seen Doc in close to a year because he did retire a year ago now.
And he passed away when?
June, beginning of June, I believe it was.
I mean, you know what? That's called working up until when it's your time. And
pretty much.
I just told somebody today, I want to be on I said a newspaper because I'm old. But I said a newspaper, I was like, I know there won't be newspapers, but some form of communication when I'm 90 plus years old, and I want to be interviewed being still practicing chiropractic. Amen. When I'm in my 90s. Maybe only like 2 days a week, but but I want to do it. I don't want to stop.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, this is unbelievable work.
Exactly. Because this is why I retired from engineering to do this, because I'd rather do this up to the day I'm going to pass. I'm going to, there was a medical doctor here in town, loved what he was doing. He was teaching over at the school. He was a big proponent of chiropractic, testified for the chiropractors in the Wilkes suit for us. And he's teaching and he's doing his thing, and everyone goes home at the school at about 4:00 on a Friday afternoon, and he's just toiling around at his desk. Nobody asks where he is when they come home on Monday, or when they come in on Monday, they find him slumped over his desk, and they figure out, oh, he's been there all weekend because he had just passed away at his desk peacefully, and
bless his heart.
It really was. So anyways, like I said, he was a good friend. I like chatting with him, and it's nice to have those colleagues who are just like they're dedicated to the craft all the way through. So what testimonials do you have for us this week?
So interesting. So tech gadgets, right, are super cool. Right. Everyone's got their Fitbits, and there's all sorts of other ones that are out there that are more expensive and cooler and all stuff. I don't have any of those. I don't wear anything on my wrist because I constantly am using my wrist to in the adjustments. So anytime I've been bought a watch, I return it because I will never wear it. But I love those. I love data. I love like collecting information. And I think that's really cool that a lot of my patients do. So one gentleman came in last week, a lot of issues going on. One of them is not sleeping well, and he tracks his sleep on his watch. And he didn't realize how bad it was until he was tracking it. And so he gets adjusted on a Wednesday night. Up until that point, he was showing me the graph. It was really cool. It was like 64, 47% of what, I don't know, full sleep, whatever it is. But, and then the day after his adjustment, or that night, 94. And he goes, I've never had anything in the 90s before. Nice. And I said, yes, that's really cool. So he's sleeping better. He's got some other things that are getting better too. But I feel like he's on the right track, and that's really cool. And I think he does too. The second one, also another Fitbit, whatever, it is measuring heart rate. And she tends towards, she's got a lot of things going on, like bad histamine reactions and a lot of systemic things. And one of the things she oftentimes has pretty much constant tachycardia, not to the point where like she needs to be in the hospital, but like her heart rate is higher than it should be someone her age when she's at rest. And it does spike pretty far if she's going like up and down stairs where it shouldn't spike that much. Mm-hmm. And so she gets her first adjustment earlier this week on Monday, and she's laying there. We have people lay and rest after the adjustment. Reason we do that, I tell people it's like if you reset your computer, if something's going wrong with your computer, you turn it off and back on. Well, this is the reboot program. So we're rebooting people while they're resting.
Right.
So she was rebooting. And while she was she was looking at her heart rate because she felt just kind of chill, little woozy. And her heart rate went down into the mid 60s. And she goes, it's never in the mid 60s unless she's in a deep, like REM sleep.
Oh, wow.
And she goes, she was just like, I couldn't wait to tell you. And she had a couple other cool wins to say after her first adjustment. But one of them was about temperature regulation and that she felt normalized with that, which was really cool. And I'm just excited. This has only been a week with her, and I can't wait to see where she is in her health by mid part of next year. It's going to be a whole new ball game for her.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I've got the Aura ring, which I like.
Okay.
Conceptually, it's a ring. It's right there. It does all the things that,
I wear a ring every day, so I could wear a ring.
That's why it's not too bad.
Do you have to have your phone close to you?
No, it's very passive. It doesn't, you just check in periodically on it. But it's been, it's basically been showing, my sleep has been crap all this week.
Well, yeah, because you can't breathe.
Well, it's not that I can't. No, that's the funny part. It's not that I can't breathe. I'm not congested. It's just sort of lingering. And it's just this weird, it is, but it's not as gross as normal. Like when I'm really out, that time a couple years ago when the car accident. The car accident, that one, oh my goodness, that one was that's gross. That was me for 30 years. That was miserable. Yeah,
it makes you, honestly, when I have resurgence of weird things like hiccups or the breathing.
Sure.
Or a headache, right? I actually had a headache too. I don't ever get headaches anymore. And I had a doozy of a headache on a week ago Friday. And it makes me, honestly, I'm grateful for it because then I go, okay, I know where I am with my health now. And I'm grateful for everything that I've done to get to where I am. And when I get those symptoms, I'm like, okay, my body's trying to tell me something. I'm going to listen. I'm going to make sure I'm well adjusted, make sure I'm eating well, getting adequate rest and healing. Because symptoms are our body's way of saying, whoop, something's wrong. You gotta pay attention. And I have one other thing I wanted to say. It's about during times of stress. So when you're like super stressed, let's say holiday stress, right? And your body may not be functioning well. But because you're so stressed, it's going to turn off some of those signals that tell you you're not functioning well. Because if you're running away from a bear, the signals, if your knee hurts, your body doesn't want to hear that. So what happens after the times of stress, whether it's like, if you finally got through the divorce or you finally got, through the funeral or you finally got through the holidays, then your body goes, well, guess what? All of those things that we've been telling you that aren't there. Well, they actually are there. You just haven't been able to feel them because we turned the signals off so that you could survive. But now that you have survived, you got to feel all that stuff. Exactly. So that can happen during any part of your life that you're overstressed. And it's a survival mechanism. It's lovely. Love that my body can survive. But when somebody says, my body's just falling apart, I'm like, yeah, let's talk about what happened about 6 months ago and what you've gone through, because all of those things, I mean, your body, it has been falling apart through the whole time. You just couldn't feel it until right now.
And this was like that one patient that I was talking about last week with the really bad vertigo. She couldn't, move around the house. She had to have an extra hand on everything, not just her cane. She was in today for her follow-up because I knew she was going to be good for at least a week. And she comes in today by herself. She was able to drive herself to the office
what a win.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, for someone with vertigo to be able to have the independence to drive themselves somewhere.
For someone who's in her 80s.
Incredible.
Right.
Oh, that is such a win.
But even bigger, someone for her 80s who, had to be reliant just for that one trip in on her son and his schedule. Yeah. She was able to come in. She was able to do all her shopping this week. So,
oh my gosh, that's incredible. The independence.
Exactly.
And those little, it's like to us, we're like, like you could think, oh, that's not a big deal. These little things, I mean, that's a big deal, but like it's the little things and they stack up. Like, I can't do this now. I can't do this, can't do this. And then all of a sudden you can't do anything. So that's a true testimonial. That is amazing.
It's and I expected it. I'm like, this is what it's going to be. I didn't expect her necessarily to be driving in by herself today. I didn't think she'd have that confidence back, but I think she also said, I can do this. And
good for her.
she's got some spirit. So anyways, yeah, so there's so much stuff. And the beautiful thing about the world we live in today is there's so much technology available to say, hey, I need to start unpacking my health. They don't have to come into our office immediately, but some people are like, I'm going to buy an Oura Ring, or I'm going to buy a Fitbit or a Whoop strap, or I'd like you to get back to me on what those two straps were, because I'd be curious to what the brands are, because I'll
ask them. They'll come back in next week. So
right, because as much as I like the Whoop, there are some limitations to it, because it's really hard to lift a weight with a ring that you're going to just scrape up and or pinch, and I don't like either of those.
Maybe we can just implant you with a microchip.
We're not doing any implants ever. And that's
it's just a microchip. It's fine.
Exactly. And then you'll be the one implanting it and saying, all right, Dr. Sugar, now we're going to make you do my bidding.
Now I'll be like, I'll have like a PlayStation remote and I'll make you move with it.
Exactly. It'll be like, okay, here we go.
That's probably already happening.
Well,
there's some puppets. There's puppets on TV right now.
We won't go there.
On the mainstreams.
Oh, there's a bunch of.
We're not on the mainstream, so we can say what we want.
We can, but we might be on YouTube at some point. So I want to make sure we don't get kicked off YouTube before we start on YouTube. Well, I can call people
puppets. It's fine.
We're not naming names. But in any case, no, it's the technology is great, because a lot of these things will track your body's physical stress that you're under. It will show you when you are overstressed, and then all of a sudden, as you get adjusted, things start getting better and better. And then you can start saying, all right, how do I take care and take charge of my health with these technologies? And I'm excited that you've got two patients that had both very positive outcomes with their health, just from and the stuff that they've been looking at, and like, how do I get this better? How do I, because one of the, for so many people, it comes back in the Oura Ring groups on the internet. There's two things for sleep that they're like, how can I get better sleep? It's either deep sleep, which is my problem. I can't get any deep sleep, or REM sleep.
Yeah.
And the deep sleep is supposed to be restorative. And every time I get a bunch of restorative sleep, I feel like lethargic. And the REM sleep is supposed to be for memory, if I'm not mistaken.
You're right. Yeah.
I get plenty of that, which probably means I'm dreaming all the time. So I don't know how that's supposed to work, but
and how accurate that is, really, because it's not like you've got.
It's as accurate as they can get. And again, that's a good question, as far as how close it is. One of the interesting things, though, that I will point out that I have found for myself, if I do not get to sleep before midnight, there will be no deep sleep. And all of my deep sleep almost always happens before midnight, which almost means I need to pull a BJ and start going to bed at 9 p.m. and kick everybody out of the house. Because apparently that's what he did when he entertained. He was firm at 9 p.m. that he would go to bed, and he'd be up at 3 or 4 a.m.
And when everybody listening, when he said BJ, it means BJ Palmer, who was the developer of chiropractic and died in 1961.
That seems right. That seems right.
Anyway, so that's who he's talking about. Just so we're
exactly
not all the chiropractors going to be listening to this.
Well, no,
and some of them might not even know what you meant by that.
This is fair.
I would say BJ was one of the original biohackers.
Definitely.
He absolutely was. He was always looking for new ways to test and change, and he would use himself as the tester and do things. So like that was one of his biohacks, is to go to sleep at 9:00. So
absolutely. And I think he might have something in.
He does. I just like to stay up late.
I do too. I think
it's not good for me.
I'm slowly learning that when I fall asleep in my chair at 9:30, I'm probably good to go, and then I'll just crawl into bed a little bit later and hopefully not wake my wife up too much.
Yeah, don't wake her up. No. That pisses us off. I'm going to be honest. So my kids, I go to sleep probably earlier than the rest of my family because I actually wake up earlier than everybody. My kids will know that I'm going to sleep and I say goodnight, but they will still come in 3 or 4 times they're still awake. They're 13-year-old twins. So they kind of have their own bedtime whenever they want. And they'll come in to tell me one more thing. And I'm like already dreaming at that point. And then they're like, one more thing, Mom. And I'm like, just let me sleep. So, I'm going to have to throw some rules down of once my door is closed, unless the house is on fire or your leg falls off, do not come and talk to me.
Yep. They can see, this is where you can set the phones to do not disturb. If they have a specific thing that they have to, remind you of for the next day, they can text it to you.
Oh yeah.
And it won't just go crazy. And sometimes you got to set those boundaries because we all have different schedules anymore.
I don't even keep my phone in my room with me. My phone is downstairs plugged in the kitchen. For the best. I don't have it anywhere near me when I sleep because as people are like, well, what if? I was like, you know what?
You'll survive.
I'm going to survive. And I plenty of people for many years survived without having a phone in their bedroom, and I do not need one in my bedroom.
Exactly.
So I don't have my phone with me when I sleep.
Yes.
I use an actual alarm clock that has like a CD player in it. Ooh. And I had it when I was in high school. And it still works. And so it's one of the radio ones. So I don't even use my phone as an alarm.
I might even have an older one that I still that I.
That's because you're elderly.
I am. I have Snoopy stickers on the side of it because that's how old I was. I was probably like 7 or 8 or 10, and that's so where the Snoopy stickers went. Still works.
The funny thing is, I still have a CD in it from high school because I never changed it. I don't have it on CD; it just turns on the radio.
Right.
But it's a Tori Amos CD. I love Tori Amos. There you go.
Good stuff. All right. Anything else for the week?
No, it's been a great week. I'm excited for, tomorrow I get to do my patient appreciation day. Oh, no, it's Saturday. It's Saturday. Okay. So what that is for us is we are hosting as many patients as we can get in 3 to 4 hours. Right now we have about 55 people scheduled, and they all get a free checkup. And they're going to bring big bags of food in for our local food pantry called Circle of Concern. Mm-hmm. And that food pantry services the people of Valley Park, and they are an amazing food pantry. They help so many people. So we are, last year we collected, pretty much filled up the back of a van full. And this year we're hoping for a little bit more because we'll have more people. And it's going to be an awesome event. I'm so excited. It's so much fun for me to do that because everybody comes in, everybody's in a great mood. They're bringing big bags of food. We're throwing it all over the office, and it's pretty amazing. So that's what I'm excited about for the weekend is our big patient appreciation day.
Well, that'll be exciting. That'll definitely keep you hopping over the weekend.
It will be hopping over the weekend.
And you'll be very happy about going to bed early come Saturday night when you're like, I'm exhausted.
It'll be great. I will be tired by the end of that morning. So
definitely. Well, all right. Well, folks, Dr. Bagley, where do people find you?
You can find me at precisionchirostl.com. You can find me on Facebook at Precision Chiro STL, and you can find me on Instagram. I believe it's also at Precision Chiro STL. So those are all of mine.
You've got all of that nice and simple. I think mine is
Keystone
Chiro. Yeah, I know, right? KeystoneChiroSPI.com for the website. There's
my Instagram is Precision Chiropractic STL. Ooh. So you have to spell out the whole word. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what my I think my Instagram is Keystone Chiropractic. But I'm going to warn you, there's very little office stuff on there at this moment, and more kettlebell stuff.
So if anybody wants to just be so just in love with kettlebells like you, they can watch that. Oh, you can find me on TikTok too at Dr. Beth, at Dr. Beth, I think it is. Let me find my TikTok. Are you on TikTok, sir?
I will not.
Yeah, I mean, it is evil. At Dr. Beth Bagley, Bagley. I have funny things on there, so you should go and check it out.
Well, that's why you just put those on Instagram and just be done with it.
I put them on Instagram too, on Instagram Reels, but I make them on TikTok.
Everyone can see what I had for lunch today. I had a slice of pizza and some other.
I'm just kidding. I know you would never have a slice of pizza.
I did. What? I made
was keto pizza or something?
No, but it's gluten free. But you should go take a look at it. No one listening should, but Dr. Bagley should, just for a good laugh. But any case, everyone have a good night, good week, and we'll be back next week with another exciting episode of The Blonde and the Bald. You guys all have a great day.
That's all for today's episode of The Blonde and the Bald. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoyed today's show with Drs. Bagley and Scherger, remember, don't give up and just live with the pain. Come back next week and get more answers and solutions. Visit our websites at KeystoneChiroSPI.com and PrecisionChiropracticSTL.com for more info, and catch all the episodes of The Blonde and the Bald.